Hello, this is an even more embarrassing video than usual because it's about value added. Value added is a bit like asking somebody about their salary, isn't it? It's something that we just don't do. But I think that's a culture we need to change in schools because it's the quickest and easiest way to improve. So as a head of English, it was really easy for me to improve my department because we were lucky enough to use the AQA exam board. I hated the board in lots of ways, but it had one brilliant advantage. It did an analysis question by question, which meant that I could work out a value added for each single question in the exam. And then I had experts. Somebody was an expert in question 1 on the writing paper, another teacher was an expert on question 2 in the reading paper, someone else was brilliant at teaching this novel, and so forth. And I could use that expertise instantly. The moment my results came out, I had an action plan for the next term where who was going to train us on what, and we shared expertise constantly. Obviously you need department time to do that. We weren't allocated that time, but my department decided to meet once a week. We met every Friday lunchtime and we shared good practice. I had NQTs, I had trainee teachers, and they made 85% 3 levels of progress every year, and that was it. It was the sharing good practice, and we used value added to do it. The experts exist in your department to make your department brilliant. Okay, so now I need to share my value added. You can go on Cicero and look at it, by the way. It's open to anybody. However, what lessons did I learn from it? Well, I found that actually my discipline's not brilliant. It's okay, you know, you'd come in and say, oh, discipline's okay here, but it's nothing special. And that's just because I don't want to devote all my energy to getting everything 100% in class. I don't enjoy it, and my value added has taught me, actually I don't need it. I don't need 100% discipline in order to get my results. I think my feedback is excellent. It's really detailed. It shows the students exactly how to improve, but being honest, it's not frequent enough, and therefore it doesn't have the impact that I'd like it to have. So I'm not going to claim that the frequency of my feedback has led me to getting really good value-added results, but it does help me tremendously in 2 ways. So the feedback that I get from the class helps me tremendously. Whenever I'm teaching a lesson, that's really all I'm asking myself. What are the kids getting and what are they not getting? You'll know I use lollipop sticks to do that, targeted questions, random questions, very rarely relying on volunteers unless I need somebody to contribute something new to develop a discussion. However, the most powerful form of finding out what your class do and don't know is to get them to do it at the front, do it at the board. So I'm an English teacher, I get them to type. So whenever there's a written activity in class, if that activity lasts more than 5 minutes, then somebody's at the computer and they're typing, and their work then goes up on the board and I teach from it, or the student teaches from it. That's tremendous because the students will teach my class more than I had anticipated teaching them. My lesson plan will never anticipate all the problems that my students have. I can't think like a grade C student or a grade B student, it's impossible. But if I put their work up on the board, suddenly I've got an example we can work with real mistakes, real misconceptions that the rest of the class are likely to share. And so that sort of modelling using the students' work is key in getting my students to improve. It's much better for me as well because I don't have to plan what they're going to write. So my planning time is reduced considerably. And then I have a bank of resources that I can use again and again next time I teach that ability group. So it's super, super efficient. Okay, what else do I do with feedback? And I like to call it Feedforward. Whenever I'm embarking on any kind of teaching, I always think through, well, what's success going to look like? Sometimes there's a published success criteria, so an exam board, I'll go to that and I'll simplify it. So I'll look at A-star writing, for example, in an exam. There might be 8 things that are required for a student to do in that. I won't teach those 8 things. I'll simplify them first so that they're clear in my own mind. But I won't give those 8 things translated to my students either. I'll try and hone that down to 3 things. So for example, I know that if I get my students to vary their sentence structures, that will hit at least 4 of the 8 things in the A-star criteria. And then if I think, okay, now I've got them secure on that, I'm going to teach them about varying their punctuation in that. It's going to lead to more sophisticated sentences, and that will hit 2 or 3 more things in there. And then finally, I need to teach them something about structuring, so that their writing has an unusual and engaging structure. And I might do that all sorts of ways. But that just gives me 3 foci that guarantees me A-star writing from the students if they do all of it well. Some people think, well, that's just teaching towards the exam, that's cheating, isn't it? But I don't think it is. I think examiners are teachers, and the people who write the A-star criteria are probably passionate about their subject. In fact, they're probably more passionate about it than I am. So they've thought through really clearly what makes someone a brilliant student in my subject. And so I don't have any problems with stealing what they think success looks like. My job is to translate that in as focused a way as possible so that my students have less to think about, less confusing them, and more to focus on. Just like me, if they get brilliant at just a few things, they're going to get really good results. If I get brilliant at just a few things, I'm going to get brilliant results. And so that's what it is. Getting the feedback from the class about what they don't know, use their work on the board, get them up to the board teaching all the time. And 2, looking at the success criteria and working out how to simplify that so it does exactly what you want it to do in the minimum number of steps. That's it. Thank you for listening.